All right. Welcome back, everybody, to the Vegas Guys Locker Room. I'm joined once again by my dad, George. And you know what that means.
Hello, everybody.
It means it's hockey, baby.
It's
We're
hockey
talking
time.
hockey today. So, a lot of stuff going on.
Oh, man.
Trade deadline approaching, of course. So, a lot of stuff, a lot of movement. Why don't you go ahead and break some of the big ones for us down?
All right, some of the big ones. You got Dadonov was traded to the Dallas Stars by the Montreal Canadiens for Dennis Guarinov.
That's
it, right?
Listen, the big part of that trade is Dadonov going to the Stars.
Yeah.
Of course, they get a prospect, but Montreal is a young team. They're building prospects. They're trying to build a team there. Dallas is in a different direction. They're looking to make moves now. So the Dadonov trade, I like the Dadonov trade. Dadonov is he's not a first or second line kind of guy, but he's that cleanup crew. He's going to get you some depth and get you some scoring in there. So yeah, I like the trade. I think it's a good move by Dallas. Dallas is they've got good goaltending. They've got solid defensemen. It's a good, well-rounded team. This just has a little more depth to their lines.
I thought we had him last night, but
You got to play the whole game.
yeah, I know. 37 seconds. Keep it up.
Those guys stop playing. That's what happens. Unbelievable. All right, what else we got?
All right, then we got Colorado got goalie Keith Kincaid from Boston. Boston they don't need him, not with the two goalies they got with Olmark and Swayman.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was traded to for a forward, Bowers.
Yeah, another prospect.
Yep. And then Orlov Hathaway went to the Bruins from the Capitals.
That's the blockbuster trade of the week right there.
Yeah.
You got Orlov. Everybody, it looks like is all in. I mean, those guys are all in this year. Boston is going to go all out to win and win now with that. While they got this team, they got you got Bergeron, you got Marchand, you got Pasta over there. It's a very well-rounded team, very deep team there in Boston.
Well, the Red Wings are trying to do the same thing. They're trying to stack up and win it all. And I don't think anybody's going to beat Boston this year. I really don't.
Listen, I don't put stock in President Trophy winners because they never win the cup.
They never succeed.
So I think I'll take the field against Boston just on based on that. To be honest with you, but yeah, with Detroit, I think they're trying to stack for next year. Detroit knows they're not going to win. They're not going to win the cup this year. They're just trying to put pieces in place. Steve Yzerman's the GM there. You know what he's done. He built that Lightning squad, and that whole team is put together by Steve Yzerman. So that's why they've been very successful with their draft picks and how they've built the team there.
Well, Boston also got Svetlikov from the Wild, right?
Who?
Svetlikov.
Oh, the other guy.
Yeah,
Svetlikov. But yeah, he's not really. He's not. He's more of a depth guy than anything. That's not
I think
really.
it's more of a backup.
Yeah, I mean that's just depth. That's all it is. It's just depth roles. So they're just trying to just be prepared for injuries, whatnot, and have a nice, well-rounded, deep team. But that's not a blockbuster trade by any means.
I think the Washington Capitals know they ain't going to make the playoffs.
I think they do. I think they sneak in the playoffs.
You think they will?
Yeah, absolutely. They're right there. They're right there in the hunt. I think they do. I think the setback was, Ovechkin having to go back to Russia for his father.
Right.
So
yeah,
having to do that.
They lost every game while he was gone, didn't
they lost every game. They went 0-4. Yeah. So, yeah, that really set them back. But yeah, they're still in the playoff race, and I think they get it. I think it's just too much talent.
Okay. Well, I wonder if that's why they picked up Craig Smith. They acquired Craig Smith and a first-round pick in 2023, for a third-round pick in 24, and a second-round pick in 25 for their trade.
Oh, for the Orlov trade?
Yep.
Well, the Orlov trade is more. Listen, Orlov's a defenseman. You're trying to say because the team is getting older, so you got to have that balance.
You got to get some of them young
future
players.
Yeah, they're not. You're developing them down in probably your AHL or one of your other leagues. But yeah, that trade's a little different. That's kind of them giving a balance of old and young because their key players are so much older.
Right.
With Carlson, Jonathan Carlson, of course, being hurt. Oshie's getting up there. Ovechkin's getting up there.
And the Bruins, what they give up? They give up a fifth round 2023 pick.
Yeah.
That's nothing, really.
I mean, that's a big piece. That's a big piece. First round
Fifth
picks.
round?
First round.
Fifth round.
Yeah, they get and a fifth round. They gave up a first round pick too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they gave up a first round pick. Yeah, they didn't just.
I must have missed that.
Yeah, they gave it was a first round pick. There was a first round pick in there involved because it was a 3-team trade.
Okay, that's why I thought I was like, what?
It's a 3-team trade. Yeah, because the Minnesota Wild picked up 25% of Orlov's salary.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, they gave up some picks in there. There's a lot of movement. They gave up a lot, and that's why Minnesota was willing to pick up.
That's why
that
this
part.
week is so complex with information right now.
Well,
There's
it's just so tough
going
because
on.
hockey trades are a little different than most other sports. You know, in hockey, other teams can retain salary
Contracts and stuff like
that, and they'll pay portions of salary. You don't see that much in any other sports, you
Right.
know? So yeah, very key.
Well, the Ducks picked up Josiah Slavin from Chicago in exchange for Hunter Drew. Satsev traded to Chicago by Ottawa.
Yeah, Nikita Zaitsev. Listen, everybody had a lot of big hope for that guy when he came into the league years ago. He came over from the KHL, I believe, and everybody had big aspirations for that kid, and it just never really came through. Yeah, very interesting to see. Zaitsev's been kind of one of those guys you just move around. He's kind of a fill-in piece.
Weber and a fifth-round pick of 2023 traded to the Coyotes by the Golden Knights for what? They got a good deal there. Mayo. Is it Mayo or Mayo?
Mayo,
like mayonnaise.
It's a young defenseman. He's a very young defenseman. It's just future defenseman.
Future.
Because, defensemen in hockey, defensemen take a little longer to develop. So it's like almost like goaltenders take the longest. You're going to usually know by the time a goaltender's 25 if they got it or not. Defenseman, you're probably looking 22, 23 before you really move them up. There's exceptions. Like Kale McCarr was a lights out player once he entered. Miro Heiskanen was another, guy who was green light right away. But for the most part, it takes a long time to learn how to play defense in the NHL. So it usually takes them a lot longer to develop. So you get a lot of young guys, and you're going to hit and miss on a lot of them. So,
yeah.
And I think that's all they're doing. They're just trying to see who they can develop in their AHL league.
Kravtsov traded to the Canucks by the Rangers.
Yeah, Kravtsov, yeah.
And let's see, he was traded to Vancouver Canucks by the Rangers on Saturday. For William Lockwood.
The big the blockbuster trade that was made was Nino Niederreiter gone from Nashville. Yeah, that's the big trade. That was the big trade that Niederreiter went. Nashville's kind of one of those up in the air teams. It's a lot of talent, but for some reason they've really struggled. So
right there, yeah, it's up there. Nashville received a second-round pick in 2024 for the forward Niederreiter, who had 18 goals this year.
Yeah, he went to the Jets. That's right. Now I remember. He went to the Jets. The Jets trying to make a move. The West is wild and wide open. The Jets are in the Pacific, right? Or are they in the Central? They're in the Central. They're in the Central. So the Central Division, with Colorado kind of stumbling out the gates with all their injuries, it's a lot closer than it really should be because Colorado is clearly the best team in the Central, but the injuries have really, really set them back. I believe Makar is on the injury list now. I believe he's day-to-day.
And you saw Ivan Barbashev was traded to Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah, Barbashev was moved. That was an interesting deal. Zach Dean. I'd like the Zach Dean. That was a first-round pick for the Vegas Golden Knights. It's a good young forward. He's almost a point per game guy down in the queue. And to make this trade, I think you're just trying to find something to spark inside scoring because that's kind of where Stone lived. Like, I'm going to live right here in the paint and clean up the garbage. And Stone was really effective at that. Barbashev can do that, not on a level that Stone can. But I think that's why people like Dadonov that was on the Knights last year. Who was the other one? He's up there, and
it's like they got rid of all their number one trades. They even got rid of what's his name? He went to
Tomo Suzuki.
No,
Cody Glass.
Yeah, Cody Glass.
Well, Cody Glass, he just
he didn't do anything.
Well, the problem is you put him on a line with Pacioretty and Stone. and he was unable to do anything at all in the entire time he was with that line. And his Golden Knights career really just didn't do much. He's more of a two-way forward. I didn't think he was going to be an all-out scorer. But, that's why the Suzuki trade, when they made that one kind of hurt us. But, yeah, they do. They trade their first-round picks very often. There's no building a team for the future in Vegas. Vegas is all in, chips-wise, now to win. Now, unfortunately, what happens is when the team gets too old and these contracts get too much and you got to let people go, Vegas Knights will struggle for a while. They're going to struggle because you got no prospects.
You're going to have a few seasons.
Oh, you're going to have some. You're going to have some drought years, that's for sure. So, but yeah, those are the big blockbuster trades. Well, some of those were big blockbuster trades. There was a lot of minor trades that happened. Nothing major. I think the Barbershop deal was major, and the Niederreiter trade, and
you
the
heard
Orlov
about
trade.
Perfetti, right?
What about Cole Perfetti?
Yeah, Cole Perfetti. He's out for 8 weeks.
Yeah, I mean that's why you had to make the trade for Niederreiter because Cole Perfetti is a good young. I believe he plays center. I believe he's a center. He's early 20s. He's a good young scorer. You need to get some more scoring opportunities. Niederreiter brings that. So that was a good trade by Winnipeg to make that deal and keep their run alive because you've got Hellebuck there, and Hellebuck is a great goaltender. So they have him there. That's that's going to be beneficial to Winnipeg. But so we'll move on. We'll listen. Yeah. We'll go over our league very briefly.
Well, I did want to mention Omar. It was the highlight of the weekend for me.
We'll get into that. You Boston fan, you.
Well, you know what? When he scored the goal, it was just made my day.
God, you're like Stephen A. Smith over there. You're just like on your knees for the Boston Bruins over there, man. My Lord,
I love the Bruins.
So, our league is based on. Listen, the standings haven't changed much in our league, guys. We'll just briefly go over it.
It's pretty much it's pretty
much the same since last week, since we gave you the updates. There could be some moves now.
For the Red League, you got the Rooks in first, two Dicks, and then Kirill throw.
So it's the same as last week. Things could move after this week. Still some games that go on this week
that are up in the air.
Yeah, and there's still some at the air. So we'll get into that next week because we still have one more week before the playoffs.
2.
Is it 2?
2 more.
I thought this was this week and the next
2
week.
more. Because my next 2 weeks, I got ESPN and I got you for the last week.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So 2 more weeks. We'll look at if anything moves, but we have the other show once this guy figures out how to do it.
Yeah. I think the Black League is already locked in.
That's already locked in. I don't think anybody's moving there. It could maybe. If things falter, some people can move up or down, but I think it's pretty locked in. Mm-hmm. So, listen, guys, it's home stretch. Make sure you pay attention to injuries. I know a lot of guys are out there that are on the trade block. They're not playing them. Kaner's one of them. Luke Shen, I know. So it is troublesome. It's hard because they don't want these guys to get hurt because they're trying to trade them and trying to make moves for their team. So it is a little frustrating right now, but the next couple of weeks, hopefully they settle this out and guys get moved and it gives you guys a boost. So keep a close eye on that
What
stuff.
do you think the chances of Gibson getting traded?
It's going to be
especially
tough.
with another, he had 45 saves.
It's tough because Gibson's contract's pretty steep.
51.
Yeah, his contract's pretty steep. He's got a pretty big contract. So
that's only going to be the only thing that hinders him from getting traded.
Yeah. But all right, we'll get into this week's past news. Go ahead. You wanted to talk about the Omar getting his goal. First goaltender in
the highlight of my week was seeing Omar score a goal. He was the 13th goalie to score a goal.
So those who don't know,
history.
My father is from New England. He claims to be a Knights fan, but only when they're winning.
I am a Knights fan,
but only when they're winning. And then if they're not winning, he jumps on the Bruins.
I've said forever my ideal Stanley Cup is the Bruins and.
But you notice he won't talk about the Knights unless the Knights are rolling, and then it's look at them Bruins.
I just get they've been disappointing me lately. I guess because I got some of the
hence the reason why you're only talking about the Bruins.
No, but you got to admit the goal was. I mean, it
was the first goaltender to score for the Boston Bruins in their history. First one since 2020. They had who was it, Pekka Rinne, and before that was 7 years.
Yeah.
Oops, hold on, I just got a notification here. Trade. Timo Meyer's been moved.
Did he? Where'd he go?
He went to where I thought it was, New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Yep. So
Ooh,
the Devils.
That's gonna help.
The Devils have
big
acquired Timo Meyer from the Sharks. I don't know what the details of the trade yet. I just got the alert just popped up on my phone. So yeah, Timo Meyer's moving to New Jersey. I think that's a great trade. That's a great young team. Jack Hughes has been on fire this year. Nico Hischier has been playing well. They got some great. Their goaltending has been good at times, bad at times, but good enough to win games.
What do you think about Patrick Kane? What's up? I mean, he's the one that's got to make the decision too.
Oh, he's already at. That's why he's not playing. That's why I say Kaner's not playing. Kaner's going to be traded. It looks like it's going to be the New York Rangers that acquire him.
That's where he wants. It's only.
I think that is going to happen. I think that's.
You think so?
Oh, I already. I mean, that's just in the works. They're just working out the details on that one. But I believe you will see Patrick Kane in a New York Rangers uniform come shortly. I think when he gets there, I think what they're trying to figure out is what his role will be because there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of sticks to feed on that team now.
Well, it's Gallant to make that choice.
Well, you got Kreider, Zibanejad, you got Tarasenko. Now, if you pick up Kaner, you got Panarin. There's a lot of guys with a lot of big egos that are scorers. Keeping them all fed is going to be difficult.
Yeah,
that's going to be difficult.
Unless they split them up on lines. That's
not going to work either because the reason Kane wants to go there, the reason Tarasenko wants to go there. Star. No, they don't want to be. They want to play together on the same line.
Oh,
so it's going to be interesting how Gallant handles this going forward. But yeah, I mean it's going to be dangerous. It's just now how do you build the chemistry because New York had such chemistry last year in the playoffs, team wise. They've kind of moved on from that. They've kind of gone we're going to try to build one now and win now with this team. My thing is, if you're trading for Patrick Kane, what are you going to give up? Are you going to give up your youth? Are you going to give up somebody like, because you have some good, you got Lafreniere. Do you give up somebody like that? Do you give up Kakko? There's a lot of good young players at the.
When you put all these good players together, you got to take from someone's going to lose.
Yeah,
someone else is going to be doing.
Yeah, so they're probably going to have to give one of their big young prospects up, or both even to get Kaner there, because Lafreniere and Kakko haven't really done much. They're good young talents, but they don't get enough ice time, so they're not going to be leading the team.
Do you think Kane will go? Because I know that's his only choice, so he'll lower his salary.
Well, no, I'm sure there'll be another deal where it's kind of the same thing. They're going to have to give up a lot because they're going to have to ask somebody to pick up part of that contract.
Right.
Pick up some of that salary. So
that's the confusing part.
That's why I said that if you do make that trade, you might lose your two big young guns of Kakko and Lafreniere because you're probably going to ask Chicago, hey, can you retain 50% of that contract for the year? Because it's just the 1 year.
Right.
He's a UFA after the year. And he'll probably have to rework this deal. He signed this. Him and Taves signed a long-term deal with the Blackhawks a long time ago when they were still winning the Cups. And that team's gotten older now. So, yeah, he's not worth the $11.5 million a year. That's not – I don't think that's Kaner's sweet spot. I think he's still a very good player, but I don't think that's where his price range is. So, that'll be curious to see if they make those trades. But – yeah, what else was big? Yeah, the Golden Knights blew that lead with 37 seconds last night. That was a heartbreaker.
Man, that just broke my heart.
So,
and then I said it right away. I didn't think their goaltender was going to cover the shootout, and sure enough, he did.
No. Broswan hasn't. I mean, what have you played 3 games? Since coming up. So
that's why I even told Mom before it even started. I said they're going to lose in the shootout. There ain't no doubt in my mind, and sure enough.
Yeah. So, we'll talk about some of the things that happened this past week. Let's look at some surprising big names that made the score sheet here. Patrick Kane, of course, had a big week. He's looking to move. Tage Thompson had a huge week. He had, the guy leads the league in hat tricks. So, big weeks from those two guys. Connor McDavid, of course, always has a big week. That guy is unbelievable. Some really surprises this week that had really good weeks is Backlund from Calgary. Those guys really had. And Mercer from New Jersey, that great young forward they've got there. I really like that guy. I've liked that guy ever since I was watching him play in the youth leagues. I believe he was playing in the WHL. But yeah, really good weeks from those guys. TJ Yoshi had a really good week. It was Tom Wilson. Good
Thompson.
to have. good to have Tom Wilson back. Listen, he's really changed up his game. Getting the league as kind of one of those tough guys in forces, really honed in on his skills. He's a very, very well-rounded player now. I got to give him that. He kind of got away from that I'm going to be the bad guy kind of mentality and has adapted his game and has got speed. He can score. He can pass. He can still hit, but that's just not his main role. Back in the day when they won the Cup, that was kind of his role. He was going to be the enforcer. He's really evolved his game. So really impressed with what Tom Wilson's done with his career, really changing that up. Yeah, other guys who had good weeks, Tavares, Kadri, McKinnon had a solid week.
Thompson had 28 points. And that's as of now.
Tage Thompson?
Yeah.
That's why I already thought. Yeah, we already thought that. Tage Thompson had a big week. Tyler Toffoli continues a good run for him in Calgary. He's really looked good.
Some of your goalies are coming through, too. Vasilevsky and Gibson both. Gibson scored an unbelievable 29.6 points so far this week. Unbelievable.
Mrazek for Chicago had some good games. I think that team defensively struggles, so he gets peppered with a lot of shots. Gustafsson for Minnesota. Fleury, I think, has really struggled. I think Fleury's age is really starting to catch up with him. He hasn't looked very sharp.
No.
So having Gustafsson there, he's played well. Craig Anderson still continues to do it. The man's, 41? I mean, I watch him play hockey and my knees hurt afterwards.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good for him. Yeah, he had a good week. Got a win, got a W on the board. Only allowed 2 goals, so very good, very good. Those are kind of your leaders for the week. Other than that, not really big news as far as scores. Let's see.
I'm just excited to see what happens today.
Gorgiev had another big week.
Oh, yeah.
Gorgiev had another big week.
16.8 points.
Yeah, so those guys really led the way. Of course, like you said, John Gibson, who has to make 80 saves a game.
Yeah.
In order to give Anaheim a chance.
No defense.
They had no defense. No defense on that team. So
that's why he had, 350 games in a month?
Yeah, something like that. Sorokin's look good, but the Islanders just continue to fall off. They made that big trade for Bo Horvat, and it just has not. It hasn't worked. But the real thing that hurt was Barzal went down. Matthew Barzal went down.
Yeah.
That was huge. He was such a filter. He distributed the puck so well to their playmakers. They had big weeks, but it hasn't worked out. This project has not worked out for them. So hopefully they can make some moves, maybe right the ship, maybe sneak in, but it's going to be tough. What other big performance of the week you got?
Oh, well, you had, you already covered Suzuki. Toffoli,
yeah. Tyler Toffoli. Yeah.
Toffoli came out through.
Hey, Huberdeau scored. Anybody know Jonathan Huberdeau, who was that big acquisition from Florida because they traded Tkachuk to Florida, got Huberdeau. Huberdeau is a great player, but man, it was so funny that he was playing so bad. He was one on the guys. He was such a big name coming in. He was on the can't drop list. Like, you were not allowed to drop Huberdeau. But he had been playing so bad. All the platforms that do fantasy hockey said, all right, and they made it where he was droppable. They took him off the can't drop list because he's been that bad this year.
Wow.
He has been awful. And to see him score, I was like, oh, look, because I drafted him. I couldn't drop the guy. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Take this. I'm like, this guy is wasting roster space because he just wasn't doing anything in Calgary.
Yeah.
And I think it's like Daryl Suter is the coach. He is an old school coach. He is a very hard-nosed coach. Sometimes it rubs players the wrong way who don't want to be that way. So,
and then they don't want to.
Yeah, then of course now it's his fault.
They don't want to be there.
I don't want, and of course the star player is going to get what he wants because you're talking about a guy who I believe makes $11 million a year,
right?
And the coach, you're going to side with the player.
Yeah.
People aren't going to the games to watch Daryl Suter sit on the bench, and coach the team. So I think this might be the end of Suter in Calgary. Again, I believe this is his second stint as the Calgary head coach. So I think his reign there will end, and we'll move on from there. But yeah, Huberdeau scored, so that was a big one. What else we got?
That's all I got so far. I don't know if you got anything else.
No, I don't really have much. Like, listen, guys, we're getting to the trade deadline approaching. Like we said, playoffs are coming up soon for all fantasy hockey. Make sure you pay attention to all your IR spots. A lot of guys are getting hurt now. major
there's
injuries.
a lot of IRs,
a lot of IRs out there right now. So manage your teams. Listen, look, make sure you set your rosters, guys. But yeah, there's not a whole lot left on the waiver. Not a whole lot, unless
nothing out there.
Especially depending on how deep your league is. There's not a whole lot out there.
I think now it's just so shot.
Yeah,
you either do it or you don't.
So make sure you try to pick up some depth just in case. Look at some of your key players. Look at who would be the next guy up to take their position had they fall out. Maybe fill your bench with that just in case you do lose one of your big guys. You know that player is going to take those minutes, up your chances of scoring points. That's my advice to you guys.
Yep.
It's anybody's ball game. Listen, when you get in the playoffs, it's a whole new season.
Yep.
So keep track of it and make sure you move on, guys.
Trade deadline Friday,
So,
March 3.
Yep. March
3
3rd.
o'clock.
Yep. So March 3rd. So you got another little over a week to move on. So yeah, guys, listen. Love talking fantasy hockey with Dad.
I want to thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. I love talking to you guys, and I love talking hockey.
Yeah, always fun because we haven't done a show kind of in person together. We've always kind of done it recording wise.
Yeah. And this was great.
But this was good. It was nice to have you. Nice to have you. Yeah. Nice to have you in. So, anyways, guys, thanks for listening to the show. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Dad, for joining the show.
God bless everybody.
We'll see you next time, guys. Take care.